The other difference with rattan and metal or synthetic furniture is that you just don't ever want to bring a synthetic chair into your formal living situation, um, or necessarily a metal chair. And even a wood chair is pushing it, especially in today's, lounging situations. We actually want this visual representation of comfort and softness and enveloping and hug me and let's cuddle, let's sink into this sofa together. Um, yeah, it connotes this idea of being with favorite people or your favorite animals. And so a hardwood, even though that's what rotan is, and I'm saying rotan, rattan, um, it is considered a hardwood, but it actually has a softer transition in a formal living area. It has a lighter transition than, say, a hardwood chair. Because when you meet up with a hardwood chair in a formal living situation, it becomes very stiff. The environment becomes very traditional, and I mean, you can think about things that hold and house memories and discoveries. And so, wood is kind of like that. It represents housing memories and themes and stories. Whereas Rotan has a more fanciful, airy, um, it has a more airy, what's the word that I'm trying to use? It definitely has, more of like a butterfly aspect to it on the scene, which is, aren't I beautiful? Um, Appreciate me while you can. Um, and you know that I'm not going to last, but the time that you spend with me is going to have a significant impact on you in so much that you will remember it singularly in and at different points in your life. And I think this is what furniture actually does for us, and that's why when it's time to get ready for a piece, when we have to get rid of a piece of furniture or an old car or something like that, we kind of have this like weird sadness, almost like a breakup. And and it's true that it is a breakup because um, actually in the science, there's intelligence in all of it, and that intelligence serves as a connection to another intelligence. So it's us connecting to another intelligence on that particular thing, and it can become a very loving relationship, even though it's like this object that appears to not breathe or have uh, what we would call emotion or feeling, but yet it has vibration and it holds memory and it has intelligence. So, you know, that I guess that's why, like, when I look at my chairs and the chairs that have come in, that I've imported and that I've made, and I see them from chair to chair to chair to chair, they're all different. And I have to confess that it's like you can almost tell when somebody was having a bad day because they would make a bad decision on the production line. And since everything is handmade, you know, we get that. We get that kind of emotion coming through production. And that's what kind of gets frustrating about production in a handmade situation like home festures, because in a factory setting, you know, you're forcing the the mechanics. And so what that means is that you're putting a person in a single job role where they can't fuck up, where they just cannot mess up. And, you know, it's like, okay, here's your job description. You go from point A to point B, and that's it. You don't go past there or, you know, venture out anywhere beyond that. That's it. Those are your limitations. Those are your boundaries. And I think, you know, like when I started Home Vestures, I started with this really open, you know, creative concept. And what I discovered was a group of people that would not go out of that boundary. And so, out of particular boundary sets. And so, everything got broken up into these mini job sets. And so, the next thing you know, I've got 20 plus people on my payroll, and I'm going, wait, how did that happen when I only hired this guy, this guy, this guy, master makers, and now I've got a bunch of people that aren't. And, you know, it's like AI, you really have to know the right questions to ask. Otherwise, you really don't, you can't trust the resource. You know, you really have to know the right questions to ask AI to get, you know, deeper answers. But so what I'm here to say is that furniture is really like that when it comes to what people feel about objects. And since it's something in our home, you know, it's definitely worth exploring and deciding the value that it has. So like in the world of, say, a butterfly, which we often take um, what is it, metaphorical references from, um, and yet we know that practically speaking, a butterfly's lifespan is short. And so, you know, the decision to reincarnate as a butterfly is very tempting because it's short and beautiful. And so we kind of like appreciate that, and we could actually see ourselves choosing something like that. And so, you know, I think that knowing the impact that a butterfly has on us as intelligences, we can go, yes, I can appreciate that, and I can translate that to something else in my life, like, say, a piece of furniture, and go, I appreciate that equally as much every time I see it, and recognize that its lifespan is different than a synthetic piece, even an extremely hardwood mahogany type piece, or concrete or stone. And, you know, I love mixing all of that. Like, for example, I have this idea to weave this beautiful casket and have like these casket-y pods that are put in a room or space, outdoor space, that has a very particular climate control on it, and the basket is open. It's got like aeration, you know, it's wickered, so the air comes flowing into it, but it also screens out bugs or anything like that, and it's very comfortable and spacious inside for one person. And you're laying in this basket in this controlled environment, and the meditation leads you into a thought process of being and becoming a butterfly. So you're in this basket and you're having this thought process of one not being able to move. And so we can actually liken that process almost to the casket, you know, being inside this thing that crawls on the ground into a cocoon and lays there and then emerges as this beautiful butterfly. And so, you know, it's this duality between the cocoon and the casket, and finding yourself like in that so that you're creating what you want, which is the spark of being able to manage the vibration of this three-dimensional world, which is we're born, we live, we die. And so I honestly think that the big question is, you know, will we see death in our lifetime, or will it be our children that get to experience not seeing death, and that they are the line, they are the beings, they are the ones that have come here at this time to see that next step in human evolution. And you know, I just gotta say, like, in my mind, I really want and hope that I get to be a part of that. But circling back around to rattan furniture, so I think that in part it would symbolically represent an everlasting line, chart, direction, path, way, never ending, constant, regenerative, and in today's organic vernacular, sustainable, you know. And so, gosh, there's something about the way it grows, the flexibility of it. It signifies this concept of can we, will we? And I think that's why the Peacock chair has evolved through time and through history and along with science, and you know, it keeps on reinventing itself, and it's still on the world stage. So it has a message, it has an intelligence, it has a vibration. And one of Homefester's goals is to bring it to you in its truest, most natural form, so that you ultimately can benefit from the organic nature of its creation and the intelligent hands that have formed it for you. So it has its own magic, and will show you that it is magical, and that through its magical, organic, easiness, it will call to it all things that almost seem impossible. And when something can be so still and call to it that which humans barely understand. It's worth the study. It's worth exploring. It's worth allowing. It's worth discovering. Truly, the world of rattan. It's magical.